Welcome to Meet the Candidate with your host, Sue Lonnie Madsen. Meet the Candidate is your opportunity to see local candidates and hear about the experiences that have shaped their lives. Meet the Candidate is a nonpartisan community project brought to you by our friends at Greater Spokane Incorporated, Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, We Believe, We Vote, and Better Spokane. Now, here's Sue Lonnie.
Okay, well, welcome to Meet the Candidate. And my guest for this session is Jeff Holey from the 6th Legislative District, currently incumbent and running for State Senate. Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks, Sulani. Great to be here.
Nice you could be here. And I start with everybody the same way and just tell us a little bit about where you grew up and spent your childhood.
Oh, my gosh. This goes all the way back. Originally from Minneapolis. I'm a Hopkins, Minnesota kid. Came out here when I was about 4 years old to Seattle area between Renton Highlands and Issaquah. Catholic schools all the way through except for the last couple of years of high school, Issaquah High School. Army right at the end of Vietnam era. That was over, came back, went to WSU, met my wife, wonderful woman, tolerant woman, terrible taste in men.
Puts up
Nonetheless,
with you.
she picked me. We've been married 33 years. And tried to figure out, coming out of Wazoo, how I could afford to pay for law school, which meant I'd have to work shift work if I was going to pay cash coming through. And so I joined the Spokane Police Department, made it through the Criminal Justice Academy. A couple of months in, working on probation. We got married on a Saturday. I started law school on a Monday while I was working graveyard patrol. And full career with Spokane Police Department, 16 years overlap as an attorney.
That's an interesting combination.
That is a schizophrenic moment a lot of times when you have to make snap decisions. One gets used to making snap decisions. The other one says, "Wait a second, slow down." So
Well, that's true. The police doesn't have you don't get to stop and
yes, amen to that.
Analyze.
And got done with that in 2006. Retired Spokane Police Department. Practiced law for a couple of years, and this opportunity for the legislature came along, and absolutely something I've wanted to do since I was in high school. Love every minute of it.
Okay. Well, so while you were in high school, what were some of your favorite non-school activities? That always tells you something about a person.
Hunting, fishing, camping, skiing.
Because those aren't usually school activities, but okay, that sounds like fun.
And they're not video games either.
Well, that's true. That's true. It sounds very Northwest.
You and I probably had the same mother out there to where they said, come back when the streetlights come on.
Yes, we did have some of that same hang around outside and entertain yourself.
Amen. Yes.
So, what was your? You kind of went through with some of your early work experience. How about some an interesting travel experience that gave you some insights into your own community?
Oh, travel experience. A couple of different things. A long time ago, getting on a bus and heading to northeastern Colorado so I could farm for about 6 months with family members back there, and getting off the bus a couple hundred miles away and having a hitchhike. Across northeastern Colorado, and it was
to find the farm.
I did, and people were so gracious. There's something about that Midwestern, just that friendly effect. People want to help effect. It was a great trip for a kid right out of high school. About 5 years ago, my son and I went to South Africa on a trophy hunt, and talk about an absolute bipolar difference in the type of culture, the type of living, expectations. Really was a good reference point for me to appreciate what we have here.
Sounds cool. What's your son doing now? You've got family.
I do. Yes.
Talk about?
Both the kids are growing. My daughter and her husband are back in Manhattan Island, New York. He's third year dental at NYU, and she's an HR director for a staffing group back there. And my son is over in Keyport, working for a Department of Defense as a computer engineer.
So you get around to visit with them much back in Manhattan?
I've been back in New York a bunch of times. It's more than just being a tourist. We're actually finding our way around pretty well these days, so we make it back enough. And the other part about my son being here on the peninsula is he's only about 50 minutes, a little less than an hour away from Olympia. So I get to see him during session.
That sounds nice.
Amen to that.
So what's been some interesting involvement you've had in the district in this last year?
You know, when first day I stepped foot in the legislature, and you and I have talked about this a long time ago, I kind of had a little bit of an agenda coming here. We had kids late in life, and all my friends around me, and as their kids are growing up, they'd say, "Oh, geez, they graduated from our great regional universities," and they'd go everywhere else but here because no opportunity existed here. Mm-hmm. We just, IBM, 3M, Silicon Valley, all the microprocessor stuff in Seattle. Name something. Everybody went everywhere else but here. And then my kids got that age. And my daughter's in New York, and my son's over in the peninsula. And so it's just one of those things that I wanted to try and make Spokane that place of opportunity that people came to because opportunity existed here rather than had to leave. How can families generationally stay together someplace like this? I love the idea of trying to create some sort of a industrial manufacturing supply chain institutional base so we actually have a balanced economy here rather than people working here and either you own a business or you want fries or a latte, being a career path, which is why everybody leaves. And so we've been really successful this last year. A couple years back here, I earmarked some money right out of the front end of the gas tax for a freight portal on I-90 up at exit 272 by Petro in West Plains here. Mm-hmm. And to do that actually allows people to get freight and business materials on and off the freeway that didn't exist before. And now all of a sudden we've got still having freight frontage available into the airport, massive property available up there. Zoning's right. The desire is right. The educated population base here is attractive. Amazon is looking at 118 acres up there. That's fairly well in place. We've got a couple other major projects that are up there that haven't disclosed yet that people are holding in confidence. But Amazon will be that anchor tenant. I think that will be the first big domino to fall. That we're going to see a lot of different development between that and the medical center downtown here and the residencies that will be established. Maybe we become in 5 years a university type of a city. Mm-hmm. And the north-south corridor. All of these things combined are going to change the nature of this whole region of our state here to the point where we actually might have people coming here because this is a place that opportunity exists, which would be, if we do this well, it will be exactly what I'd hoped would have happened here, so that we have that kind of economy to where we actually create our own product, our own wealth, and we're not circulating other people's money.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm getting the sign that we're down to that last minute and a half, so I'm going to give you the final question. How do you see the duties of this elected office, and why should voters choose you?
Well, the duties of the selected office. You come into this office like I did 6 years ago in the House, and the Senate, although the aspect's different and the ratios are different, the game's fairly close to the same. Thinking that you prepare laws or you intervene for problems with your population in your district out there, you run interference for them, you try and accomplish things that they ask you to do. It's turned out that is about half the work. The other half of the work has to do with trying to figure out a sense of trajectory and where the party should be leading the caucus and where the caucus should attempt to lead the legislature and where our state should be going. I mean, there's just this bigger 20,000-foot picture that sometimes everybody misses because we're so in the weeds trying to do the little things in district here that yes, you'll address the symptoms of the problem, but what do we do to actually help our state prosper and develop and yet maintain the type of environment we'd like to have, maintain the water systems that are so necessary for development out there. It becomes more of a holistic approach than I ever would have thought. And I have to tell you, total candor is that this is my third term in the House, and just this last session, I finally feel like I've transitioned from an apprentice to a journeyman status, to where I actually understand the mechanics interaction that was so complex before, and I'd worked the edges, but I get the bigger picture now. I think that you might want to keep me in office in the Senate because it's a great preparation for the degree of autonomy that some people in the Senate have. They're expected to act as a team, but everybody contributes individually to make things happen. I think it's taken me 6 years to prepare to be able to do that effectively. And I think the direction we're going, that people might agree with me. That's something that would be a benefit.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in today, and I'm glad you could come in, and nice to
Lonnie.
see you again, Jeff.
And you.
Thanks for watching Meet the Candidate. Spokane Talks thanks our community-minded partners, Greater Spokane Incorporated, the Ponderosa Republican Women's Club, We Believe We Vote, and Better Spokane for helping make Meet the Candidate possible.